Hello world, my name is Klaus Hostel, and I'm doing 100 innovation keynotes in 100 days. Today's number 81, and today I get to combine two of the things that I'm most excited about: innovation and storytelling. Because today I'm going to give you an innovation example and talk about participatory storytelling. Now, this is a talk that I'm giving by request, and it's a talk I've given before, but I'm now also putting it in a fresh version into this keynote series. It's called 1,000 Heroes with 1,000 Faces: Why Participatory Fiction is the Future and Why It Matters to You. And it's by me, Klaus Hostel. So the slides are a little bit different than what you may be used to if you're following me on this keynote journey, but that's because this is actually an older keynote, a couple of years old, that I'm revisiting. With that said, let's jump into it. We start in 1949. This gentleman is Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell is famous for finding similarities within myths and legends in many, many different cultures. And what he did was, essentially, his research said there's so many of these myths, whether it's Nordic mythology or Greek mythology or Babylonian myths or South American hero stories, there's so many similarities that he started mapping them. And what he came up with was a book. The book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And in that book, there is a 17-point journey called The Hero's Journey. This is the original graphic for that. Now, Star Wars is a good example of that. What's his name? George Lucas. George Lucas had read Campbell and thought, if this worked for so many people, could work for me. So he used Campbell's 17 points in the Hero's Journey as kind of not a blueprint for his Star Wars story, but at least like some sort of guiding principle in it, because he thought, if it's worked for thousands of years, it might work for my space opera as well. The Hobbit, another excellent thing, not directly inspired by Campbell because it's written before, but it also uses the same structure. And classic mythology has loads of this sort of stuff. So if you want to kind of get into this whole hero's journey thing, Hero with 1,000 Faces, there's plenty of it out there. Just Google it, you'll find interesting stuff. Now, what these things have in common is they're passive entertainment. You are fed the story, whether you're watching Star Wars or you are hearing about the Odyssey or you are reading The Hobbit. It is passive entertainment. Somebody else has created it and they're giving it to you. They're feeding it to you. This is also passive entertainment. This is from Disneyland. It's a ride. You're sitting on one of these Dumbo elephants and you're flying around, but you're not doing anything. You're experiencing, yes, but you are not participating. You're not co-creating. You're not deciding. You're just there as the ride is fed to you. In Disneyland rides, you are literally strapped into the ride, and then you're kind of taken through the experience for a lot of them. Pirates of the Caribbean, you're sitting in the boat. You're not strapped in, but still, same but different. Now, the theory behind this, the simple version, is that here you have a creator of an experience. Here you have a consumer, or a kind of somebody, a guest you could call it if you're being a little crass, and somewhere there where they touch, that's where the experience is, that's where the magic happens. That's the idea, at least, with this sort of design. Now let's jump forward a bit to this guy. We're about 40 years ago, roughly, and we're now going to talk about 1,000 Heroes with One Face. Ooh. We're not talking about Charlotte Spivak's book about Merlin from 1994, which is also called 1,000 Heroes with One Face. Not the same. We're talking about this. We're talking about the millions and millions and millions of kids who picked up one of these and became Mario. They got to jump over the oil barrels. They got to rescue the princess. They became Mario. They got to be one hero, one face, but there were thousands of them. There were thousands who got to be that hero. So when I say there's one hero with one face, well, the reality is there's one hero, but we all get to be that hero. We all get to be Mario, or we got to be Mario if we were from that generation. So we got to be 1,000 heroes or millions of heroes with one face because we were all the same Mario. If it's this adventure book series, they're called Choose Your Own Adventure, wildly popular, selling, I think it's like more than 200 million copies, if I remember my kind of facts right, where you read through an adventure and then you're like, okay, if you want to go left around the castle, go to page 26. If you want to go right around the castle, go to page 97. If you want to climb the wall, go to page 84, etc. But you're still that hero. You're still deciding. You're choosing. You're in the action, but you're only choosing between things that were already there, and you are kind of putting yourself in the role of that hero. Or in a modern game, this one was an advertising thing that I fell upon. The Game of Sultans, rule from the throne of the magnificent Ottoman Empire. You get to be the Ottoman Emperor, and you get to make choices which, if you look at the actual advertising for this, mainly was something to do with affairs and rebellion and treachery, but mainly affairs as far as I could see. I never got to play the game, but I remember seeing this ad. And here you got to put yourself in the role of the Ottoman Emperor, but it was still one person that you got to be, and then you were in this universe. So if we're going to look at that, we don't have the lovely painting from before. Instead, we have a creator, we have a consumer, then we have choice. And that creates the experience. So the creator lines up choices. The consumer says, I want this, I want that, I want to go right, I want to go left. Mario jumps on the turtle. And then you have the experience. Fast forward a little bit more. Because while this leads to interactive storytelling, this is a lovely app. It's an interactive book, an interactive comic where you move around the pieces while the main character is running. It's like this escape thing. Really, really lovely. I can't remember its name. I just remember it was cool. However, it's not truly interactive. It's better, much better than passive, but it's not truly interactive. That leads us to here, the really modern stuff. We're talking about 1,000 heroes with 1,000 faces. It's World of Warcraft, where nearly 10 million people have their own hero, their own personal adventure inside a huge universe where they're interacting with each other. And one person's idea of fun may be to be with the Horde, maybe to be with kind of the bad guys, the orcs and the demons and all that sort of thing. Another is the Alliance, the good guys, the paladins, the elves, the shining armor. Some might want to just walk around and socialize and hang out and tell jokes in this universe. Others are like go, go, go and completing the quests and finding out how you can beat the new levels the fastest, that sort of thing. There are many ways to play World of Warcraft, but they all have one thing in common. You get put inside a universe, or you have an avatar. You're not there yourself. It's digital. But you get put inside that universe. You decide who you want to be in that universe. So you not only have thousands or millions of heroes, they also have thousands of faces. You're not all Mario. You're not all Master Chief from Halo. You're different heroes in the same universe. It's Burning Man, where people go there and take on, some just go there to party, some just go there to relax, some to listen to music, watch art. But some go there and put on a different identity for a couple of days. And they're all creating, they're all experiencing, they're all interacting. You go there and you be who you want to be, at least to a certain extent. It's the Conspiracy for Good, an alternate reality game run some years back where the case was, or at least the story was, there is a conspiracy for good out there. There is a secret society which knows its members by them saying, I'm not a member. Google Conspiracy for Good and you'll find out some really cool stuff. Because it's this alternate, or it was this alternate reality game. And it was also trying to make real change in the physical world. So as part of the game, they ended up getting schools built in poor communities. Or a couple of them, at least. So a way of using games to solve real world problems, but also as a way of getting to be somebody else, getting to be this hero in a different universe that was just like our own. So here you got to physically be there. There was a digital component, but you could also physically be there at some events, pretending to be somebody else or pretending to be you in this universe, in this alternate reality. Really, really cool. Google it. What we're talking about here are co-created experiences where with the old book, the author or the creator would give you something you could experience. It's the Disneyland, you're given something to experience. With a computer game, you're given options and then you choose and then you experience. But here you are co-creating the experiences together. This is from a live action role play event that we ran a few years back, inspired by the TV series Downton Abbey. So here 130 people got together at this beautiful castle in Poland and played servants and nobles in 1914, ditching their regular identities for an extended weekend to be somebody else for a couple of days. Try out a different life for a couple of days with its own drama, its own stories, its own themes, its own intrigues, successes and failures, defeats and victories. Really, really powerful stuff. Now, this is a promotional image for another live-action role-play event. One of the more crazy things I've done, where we drove 2,448 miles across Route 66 with a fake rock band, playing real concerts along the way. And this picture was taken at Cadillac Ranch in Texas. Now, this is a participant. This is a participant playing the drums. These are participants sitting on the Cadillac singing. And this is Jeff, one of our creators, facilitators, participants also, and an all-around guitar hero. So here, the action is co-created. We staged it, yes, but the whole action, the whole adventure was built by and with the participants. My own role in this was taking on the persona of Rick Stevenson, an American music video producer. And I got to be Rick Stevenson for a week, pretending to be him when we met people at bars, at concerts, on the road, at cafes, at restaurants. Pretty crazy. And a far cry from sitting and listening to somebody else tell a story. Now, of course, there's also a photoshopped eagle here, because an image like this kind of needs a photoshopped eagle. But, moving on, why does participation matter? Well, let's look at self-determination theory from the 1970s, which says there are three basic needs. We're not talking about sleep, food, and shelter. Not those three basic needs. They're nice to have as well. We're talking about competence. We as humans need to feel competent. We like to feel competent. So if I jump over barrels in Donkey Kong, that's good. It feels good to be competent at something, even if it's something like jumping over barrels. Sure, it's great being good at your job, or being a good painter, or being a good father, all these sorts of things, but it's also good. It feels good to jump over barrels, to master something. One of the nice things about Donkey Kong, it's easy to learn, it's hard to master, so there's some sort of trajectory there. And that's one of the reasons that this has been such a popular game. We like autonomy as humans. We like it when we make the choices. This is the old computer game Rogue, where you get to be the hero. You get to, even though the graphics are terrible, this is the updated graphical version. This is like the woo with bells and whistles. Not the newest game out there. I played this a lot as a kid with my stepfather. And Rogue, you get to be the hero. You get to make the choices. And just to show that it's about autonomy, there was a lovely function. I don't know if you can hear it, but outside there's a police siren going on. I'm just going to hope that doesn't destroy the sound and move on. Rogue has something called a boss key. There's a key you can press in the game, and then it goes to like a command prompt that looks like you're working. And not only is this nice if you want to actually hide that you're playing from your boss. I don't know how many people actually use that, but I think there was like a subtle comment on here, you're the boss. And if you press this key, you get to hide from your boss that you're actually doing something that you like yourself. That you're taking your own autonomy to the next level, so to speak. You're playing Rogue instead of working. Now, we also need the third thing. We need relatedness. We need something that feels like we connect with it. This is from, and I'm sticking with video games here, this is from The Sims. And in The Sims, you can have your character, your avatar, or your kind of personas, whatever you're playing with, you can have them go to the gym, and it feels good What we do matters in the fictional world, because there's so many things in our normal lives that are out of our control, or we feel they don't really make a big impact. But when we do things in the fictional world, whether it's attacking the castle, or it's writing the poem, or in this case, working out, it feels good. It feels like we're doing something that matters. And ironic as it sounds, watching your Sims work out feels good, because it feels like what you're doing matters, even if it's a fictional frame. There's no wonder we want to dress up as pirates, or we want to play computer games, because computer games are awesome at delivering on these three things. They're awesome at delivering on autonomy, on relatedness, and on competence, on mastery. They're really, really good at that, where most of the world is pretty badly designed. It's not designed for us. It's not designed to make us feel good in that way. Computer games are. What's the business angle? So let's say you've been following this. Let's say you say, okay, I agree. It sounds interesting. Yeah, but class, I'm not in the computer games market, and I don't want to be. And sure, I get the points about new modern storytelling, but what's in it for me? How do I make money off it? Well, first off, you live in an experience economy. I live in an experience economy. We live in an experience economy, and it's becoming more and more obvious that this is where the economy is moving. It's moving towards experiences. We pay more for experiences rather than physical goods and services. This is where more stuff is happening. This is where innovations are happening, especially. This is where the hot stuff is going on. It's not about technology. Lots of technology. Yes, lots of lovely stuff out there. This is not what I'm talking about right now. This is not a tech issue. It's not about AR or VR or XR or something else. Because we crave a variety of form. It's not that we're saying that once you've seen a movie, you're never going to read a book. Or once you've tried a computer game, you're never going to see a movie, etc. Once you've been to a role-playing event, you're never going to do anything else. No, we crave a variety of form. But some of these new forms, they're there to be developed. And participation is the future. There's this old saying of, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man how to fish and he'll feed himself for life. That's sure. And it's a little bit like, show somebody how to fish. Might be cool. Teach them how to fish. Involve them. Let them participate. Let them be part of the fishing. They're going to be a lot more engaged. It's very, very basic. True co-creation, however, is scary. One of the reasons this is not moving faster is because it's scary. If you strap people in at a Disneyland ride and send through thousands of them an hour to go through your Space Mountain, your Indiana Jones, or whatever delightful thing you've cooked up for them. And I love Disneyland. It's lovely. You have control. If you just let people loose and let them do things together, even if it's digital, but especially if it's physical, it's scary. It's scary that you don't have control, but that's where part of the magic is. It's worth it. Now, these two numbers, one of them is 50, the other is 100 plus. They're both in billions of dollars, $50 billion roughly, 100 plus billion dollars. One of them is the movie industry. Another is the computer games industry. And you're right. You guessed it. The 100 plus, that's the computer game industry. Participation. It's outgrown. Yes, computer games don't have the same respect that the Oscars convey to the movie industry or to the theater, that sort of thing. We'll get there in time. But in sheer kind of monetary value, participation, that it's not just good. It's not just nice. It's not just lovely. It's worth money. So what now? Where does this leave us? Where does this leave you? I want you to take a deep breath. No more funny pictures. That part is done. It's time to preach. You ready? You accept that show don't tell is dying, and that it's invite don't show in the participatory world. You change your marketing from passive consumption. Change it to active participation. You renovate your stories. And you renovate your stores, which it actually says on the slide. I was just caught up in talking instead of reading, and that meant it was gibberish, right? You renovate your stores, not your stores. You renovate your stores, your physical stores, so they're not just shelves with products, but participatory experience centers. And you realize that no matter what business you're in the business of selling dreams. And what kind of dream do you like the best? The one you're told about, or the one you get to live? The future is participatory. You're invited to be part of it.